Hello dear students, welcome to this tele and radio tutoring alternative English class with me Esther Zobio as your tutor. Today our topic is taken from the poetry section. The first poem that we will be doing is All the World's a Stage by William Shakespeare. Before we begin, I recommend you all to take your Class 12 Alternative English textbook, open it to where the poem is, and follow through as we learn the poem together. Firstly, about the poet, William Shakespeare. Every individual who is a fan of literature knows about William Shakespeare. 1564 to 1616 was an English playwright, poet, actor, widely known as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's greatest dramatist. He is often called England's national poet and the Bard of Avon. Bard means a professional poet. His works consist of 39 plays, 154 sonnets, 2 long narrative poems, and a few other verses. His plays have been translated into every major living languages and are performed more often than those of any other playwrights. This poem, All the World's a Stage, is a monologue. A monologue means a speech taken from one of Shakespeare's famous play called As You Like It. It is a speech given by a character named Jacques in Act 2, Scene 7, lines 139 of the play. The speech compares the world to a stage, life to a play, and catalogues the 7 stages to a man's life, sometimes referred to as the 7 stages of man. Firstly, we'll read the poem together. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, and then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face creeping like snail unwillingly to school, and then the lover sighing like furnace with a woeful ballad made to his mistress's eyebrow, then a soldier full of strange odds and bearded like the bard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly, with good cap and lined, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances, and so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved, a world too wide. For his shrunk shank and his big manly voice, turning again toward childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound, last scene of all that ends this strange eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion, sun's teeth, sun's eyes, sun's taste, sun's everything. So that's the poem. Firstly, lines 1 to 5. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. In these lines, the poet compares the world to a stage. All men and women are compared to actors and actresses on the stage of this world. They enter this stage when they are born and leave the stage when they die. Therefore, exits here means death and entrances means birth. Every person during his lifetime plays many parts. These parts are called 7 ages, and these ages are like acts of a play. Lines 6 and 7. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. These lines denotes the first stage. The first stage of a man's life is his infancy. Therefore, this stage is called the infancy stage. During this stage, he is a helpless and a dependent child. Therefore, his role in this stage is mewling, which means crying, and puking out milk or food in the hands of his mother or a nurse taking care of him. Now lines 8, 9 and 10. And then the whining schoolboy with his satchel means school bag, and shining morning face, creeping like snail unwillingly to school. The second stage is his boyhood or a schoolboy, and these lines denotes the second stage. This is the school-going period. It is the time when he complains most of the time. His face shines like the bright and fresh morning. He carries his satchel, which means his school bag, and since he is too reluctant to go to school, what he does is he unwillingly walks to school lazily, slowly, and steadily at the pace of a moving snail. Now proceeding to the next lines. Lines 11 to 13. And then the lover, sighing like furnace, with a woeful ballad, made to his mistress's eyebrow. These lines denote the third stage. Now he is an adult, and it is the time when he falls in love passionately. He sighs like a furnace or an oven as he burns in his emotions. He also tends to write and compose songs and poems in praise of his beloved's beauty, in praise of his beloved's eyebrow. So, proceeding to the next stage, lines 14 to 18. These lines denotes the fourth stage. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the part, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth. In these lines, the poet shows the fourth stage of a man's life. When he matures, he beseems a soldier. He takes strange oaths. He grows his beard like a leopard. He is fierce like this animal. During this stage of life, man is jealous of the honor of others. He is quick-tempered and quarrels easily. He also looks for bubble reputation. Bubble here is referred to temporary. So bubble reputation means temporary fame and reputation. And in order to achieve this temporary fame, he is even ready to go into the mouth of a cannon, which means a gun. Therefore, a man in this stage is not at all bothered by dangerous situations, which means a man in this stage is very brave. Proceeding to the next stage, that is the fifth stage. Lines 19 to 23. And then the justice, in fair round belly, with good cap and lined, with eyes severe and the beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances, and so he plays his part. So these lines denotes the fifth stage of a man's life. This is his middle-aged stage. In this stage, he is like a judge, since he got the ability to understand between the right and the wrong. He also has a fair round belly, full of the meat of healthy chicken. It is the stage when he is firm and serious, with his beard of formal cut. His interaction with people is full of wise saws, which means wise sayings and proverbs, and also give advices with examples from the modern age. As such, he plays his part. Now, after finishing this fifth stage, gradually proceeds to the sixth stage, lines 24 to 30. The sixth age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved, a world too wide, for his shrunk shank and his big manly voice, turning again toward childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. So these lines denotes the sixth stage of a man's life. This is the time when a man shifts from the middle age to the old age. He wears pantaloon with slippers on his feet. He has become thin, weak, lean, and wears spectacles on his nose because of his weak eyesight. He also tends to carry a purse by his side. He uses long socks, which he has saved during his youth. Now these socks are very loose to his lean legs and it looks strange. His big manly voice has turned into the shrill voice since some of his teeth have fallen. Whenever he tries to speak, it seems as if he were whistling or playing a pipe. So that's the role he plays in the sixth stage. Now gradually proceeding to the last stage, that is the seventh stage. Lines 31 to 34. Last scene of all that ends this strange eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sun's teeth, sun's eyes, sun's taste, sun's everything. Sans is derived from the French word which means without. So this is the stage when he is without everything. This is the last stage of man's life. In this stage, he changes from his old age to the oldest one. This is the strange stage of life because in this period, all the life which has been previously full of strange events come to an end. In this stage, he behaves childish as well as childlike. Therefore, Shakespeare calls this stage as the second childishness. It is the stage when he is too forgetful, since his memory becomes very weak. He loses teeth, eyesight, taste, therefore he is without everything. This is the stage in which he completes the drama of his life and exit the stage of this world. So students, with that we come to the end of the explanation of the poem. Now we'll be doing some poetic devices applied in the poem. The first poetic device used in the poem is metaphor. Now, metaphor is a figure of speech that uses a word, a phrase, an object, or action in a way that explains an idea by making a comparison between two different things. In short, it is an implied comparison. An example of metaphor implied here is the first line in the poem. All the world's a stage. All the world's a stage is a metaphor because here world and stage are two different things. But the poet here uses the world, comparing it to a stage, trying to give us the idea that the world is like a stage and our life is just like a drama in which we play our own different roles according to our own age on this stage. Some other examples of metaphors seen in the poem are men and women merely players, that is the second line, and bubble reputation in the 17th line. Now proceeding to the next poetic device applied is simile. Simile is another figure of speech that directly compares two things. But similes differ from metaphor by highlighting the similarities between two different things by using words such as like, L-I-K-E, like, and S-A-S-S. So some examples of simile applied in the poem are creeping like snail. Creeping like snail in the 9th line of the poem. Here, the pace of the schoolboy who reluctantly walks steadily and slowly to school is compared to the pace of a moving snail. So that's the simile implied here. Some other examples of simile are sighing like furnace in the 3rd stage and bearded like the part in the 4th stage. Proceeding to the next poetic device, alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of two or more words in a line of a poetry. Some examples of alliteration used in the poem are quick in quarrel, repetition of QQ sound, shrunk shank, repetition of SHS sound, repetition of S sound in sun's teeth, sun's eyes, sun's taste, sun's everything in the last line of the poem. Now, the last and final poetic device that we will be doing today is rhyme scheme. There is no rhyme scheme in this poem, therefore, this poem is called a blank verse or a free verse. So students, with that we come to the end of our lesson for today. See you again in the next video lesson. Till then, stay cared, stay safe.